She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have you ever been in that situation where, like things around you kind of look like they're going kind of good? I mean, especially if you kind of look at your friends and your family members and your coworkers, like, no, we're doing pretty good. Well, just kind of everything is okay. Yay, we got some debt. We got a little stress from our business, but, we're doing pretty good. Is that you? That's exactly where Richard and his beautiful wife, Emma Lou Beechy, found themselves from Goshen, Indiana. This couple, not only are they gorgeous, but boy, they've got a past that you would just never, ever guess where their roots come from, to then coming out and trying a business and trying to succeed and, trying to live the American dream. And then came to find out that American dream had such a heavy, high price to pay. And was it really worth it? Joining me today, all the way from Goshen, Indiana, are the Beechys. Richard and Emma Lou, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani.
In sync. You guys look amazing. Thank you so much for joining us via Skype. Are you guys in your home right now?
We're actually at our office right now.
You're in your office. Okay, awesome. All right. Now, you guys actually grew up, was it Mennonite or Amish?
It was Amish.
You were Amish, yeah. I remember seeing pictures from your early days and seeing that even when you guys met each other, you both were Amish. How old were you when you guys met?
I was 18, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I was 16.
Oh, wow. Okay. And is that like a normal time to get married, or did you guys wait to get married?
We waited until I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we dated for about 4 years.
Or 22. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. So we waited till Emma Lou was legal.
Yes, I was legal.
Okay. And what drove you to not walk in the same Amish, the same level of commitment to the Amish faith or customs?
Well, we were like living in that lifestyle and we felt pretty trapped, but it was the way that we were taught. You just do what your parents say, you do what the elders of the church say, and we started reading the Bible and started questioning some things. And we realized that what they were telling us and what the Bible was saying was not matching up, so we started asking questions. And there were some individuals in the outside of that community that started answering those questions. And that's when we made a decision to leave along with our family.
Wow. And so how did that feel? Like, what happened? What was the result of pulling away from the church of your family?
I think that affected me more because Emily's family went with her. But for me, it was just gone in an instant. We weren't close as a family growing up, so I tried to tell myself that it didn't really matter at first. Over the years, I think that kind of caught up with me, but I was able to work through a lot of those things, and slowly relationships started being restored with my family. I would say that started about, 5 years ago? Yeah. So about 5 years ago, I think the restoration started with my family, and it's just gotten better and better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, you guys came to a place in your faith. Now, first of all, I have to tell you that I have so much respect for Amish people. Hardworking, diligent, deliberate, purity. I mean, they really strive for purity. Now, that does not mean that everyone's perfect in the Amish faith, just like no one's perfect inside of, the normal Christian church, whether that's a Baptist or that's a Pentecostal church. There's messes in every sect of the church, honestly. I mean, every splintered part of it, there's messes everywhere, and there's differences, and people argue about what the scriptures say, and different people have different perceptions of what it says. But I have to tell you that some of the sweetest and very honorable people that I've learned a lot from have been Amish people. And I remember sitting with a young woman who, was looking at something I was wearing in my shoulders. I had a cold shoulder top on. She's sitting at my feet in her beautiful Amish dress, and she says, "I would so love to wear something like that someday." And I'm like, "Really? Why?" And I looked at her and I said, "You know what you have that I wished I had?" I said, "Purity." Yeah. The gift that is on your, the if you will, the brand that's around the Amish is purity. Mm-hmm. And it's like untouched, and it's beautiful. And her eyes just, she's like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah. Hello, I'm a former whore." So me with my shoulders covered, uncovered, this is like straight up modest, honey. It was a turtleneck, and my shoulders were exposed, and there was a long dress to the floor. I said, "This is complete modesty for me. I'm dressed like a nun tonight." You know what I mean? So anyway, it was such an interesting learning. I've had lots of learning experiences since then, and I was always intrigued by the fact that you guys came from that faith. And then again, you came to a different understanding. You were something that was stirring in your heart. You felt like God moved you in a different direction. And he obviously has blessed you in that as well. So prior to finding the website, DaniJohnson.com, what was the quality of your life? And how long ago was that, by the way?
2.5 years ago.
Just 2.5 years. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, and so what was going on financially? What was going on between the two of you? What was going on in business?
Prior to discovering Dani Johnson, I remember for me personally, leaving that Amish lifestyle and then getting married. And the year we got married, we started the venture of regrowing a business that was completely failing. It had bottomed out when we left the Amish culture because it was a family business. And I remember feeling completely lost. But fast forward, through those years that we were struggling to grow this business, it started growing. We started to learn some things that were working in the marketplace. But I felt so lost. I felt like the pressures of the business were overtaking me. So the stress from that was completely overwhelming. And the truth is, I don't think for myself that I would be in business today if we wouldn't have found DaniJohnson.com, because we were desperate. It's I need something. I can't handle the stress and the pressure that's happening. And as a result, too, as our business started succeeding, I saw that we were maybe making more money, but the debt kept growing. And that was just what's the point of this? This is suffocating. What was your...
For me, I was seeing that being in at the stage that we were at just before coming to Dani Johnson, and finding those tools and attending First Steps to Success, I was seeing other business owners that were stressed out, and they were leading lifestyles that I thought were not the way that I considered success. But then all of a sudden we saw ourselves becoming those people, and I didn't like it.
But explain to me what that was, Richard. What do you mean? What was their lifestyle that you didn't like, that you then became?
So I would see them trying to drown out the problems that they were having in their business by drinking, and they were always talking about the negativity of their business and how you can't trust other people. And you can't trust your employees, you can't trust anybody. And all of a sudden, it was I was starting to feel myself becoming that person of almost a narcissist or whatever you call that, where it's you just can't trust anybody anymore in business. And so it was desperation was starting to set in slowly, almost without us realizing what was happening.
And what do you mean that desperation was sitting in without you even realizing it? So what did you find yourselves doing in that desperation?
We bought a big house that we absolutely did not need. Went crazy amounts into debt, telling ourselves that we'd be right back out of it again in a couple years. Yet we were still in debt from our first house that we bought.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Wow. So you basically, alcohol was not your drug of choice, but instead it was trying to look successful to other people with buying something that you don't need, trying to impress yourself, trying to impress other people. And it was just the two of you guys, and you guys were never going to have kids.
That's right. Yeah. And I realized that, and I didn't realize this until after we started coming to Dani Johnson, but at a very young age, I looked around me and saw that a lot of the adults around me weren't happy. And it was important to me to have a good marriage. And so I was like, okay, what I chose to believe it was because they didn't have money and they had kids. So I was like, okay, I don't want to have kids and be a millionaire by age 30. That's what I thought. But since plugging into Dani Johnson and creating a dynasty and first steps to success, that has changed, that there's a different way. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we went from not wanting to have kids to now wanting to have kids.
Which is really wild. But I was focused on like the fact that you had this huge house. How much debt were you guys in at that point when you first came to First Steps to Success?
I think it was right around $247,000 of debt.
Mm-hmm. How did that feel, Richard, knowing that you were the primary responsible one, being raised Amish and knowing you shouldn't go into debt, right? But that heritage is still in you. How did that feel as the head of the household carrying $247,000 worth of debt?
I think it was kind of comfortable debt at the moment because we thought we could handle it.
Wow.
And so if you're making way more than the payment that's due, I thought I was totally comfortable with being in that situation. Mm-hmm. But at the same time,
isn't that crazy to think about? I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with $250,000 worth of debt. It has no effect on me at all.
I know. It's like, and at the same time, I didn't want to be in debt. I never wanted to live a lifestyle of debt, but I had told myself by that point that it's okay because we'll be out of it in a couple years anyway, and it's all good.
So was that working, that we'll be out of it in a couple years anyway, and it'll be good?
I think it was turning out longer than I was anticipating. Mm-hmm. We were only in that big house for, I don't know, was it 11 months?
Yeah. Well, that had to do with timing also. The timing
that was all with timing. Yeah. We would have been in there and we would still be in debt, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so just to recap, you found yourself living the way that other business owners were living. Either they were drinking their sorrows, they had no trust of their employees, always speaking negative about the business and feeling like they're going to be taken advantage of. You drowned your sorrows in purchasing large items and putting yourself $250,000 worth of debt. This is Dani Johnson. We'll get to the bottom of their story right after this.
Richard and Emmylou didn't just change their family, they changed dozens of families. Find out how when we come back. This is the Dani Johnson Show. More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what poverty-stricken families are dealing with in Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic needs of food, clean water, and safe housing. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming Nicaragua. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Nicaragua. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities. And they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
Faith, hope, love, and sometimes a good swift kick. You'll find them all here. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So can you imagine, first of all, you make an early decision from a religious perspective, then you end up with a crazy amount of debt. And although you think your life is, doing pretty good, at least you're not a drunk like the other guys are. Not even really paying attention to all the pressure that it's being added to you because of carrying $250,000 worth of debt. Here on the Dani Johnson Show, we bring you messaging, topics, content, strategies, even places where you can enhance your skill so that you can live the life you want to live. Instead of living success according to the design of society, no, we're going to punch that design in the face. We're going to poke holes in it. We're going to get underneath it. We're going to pull the covers off and say, what's really behind? What's really there? What's really there is where most people are living today. Yeah, they're chasing the inevitable or the beautiful, the nice little picture of the so-called American dream, which has underneath it a whole lot of debt, pressure, toxicity, brokenness, and a lot of people who are living in confusion. But that is no longer the Beechy family. Both Richard and Emmylou join us from Goshen, Indiana. Welcome back. You guys had $250,000 worth of debt. You're suffering under a lot of pressure from your business. You came to First Steps to Success, a 3-day training seminar. Why did you come? Who invited you?
We got invited by my brother Harlan, and when we went, it was like so eye-opening. It was like, this is unbelievable. Like, this exists, these tools exist, like what the heck?
Harlan as in Bone Tranger?
Yes.
No way, that's your brother?
Yes, that's my brother.
I had no idea. That is amazing. And he has paid off $60,000 worth of debt.
Yes, it's so awesome.
A young man who's done so good and been so teachable and so hungry. Wow, I had no idea. Okay, so what happened? So your brother invited you, but why did he invite you? How did he get you to come?
He just shared a little bit at a time, and he's just like, hey, you should go. And I kind of use the excuse of like, I'm busy, all that stuff. And finally...
No, tell me what your other excuses were.
Like, I had... oftentimes on the weekends I was booked. I had business commitments, and I was like, I'm busy. I can't go. Like, I just used that as an excuse. And I was like, okay, well, when I have a weekend open, I'll go. So Cleveland is when our first event was in 2015.
Wow. So that's going on 3 years. It's 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened coming out of First Steps to Success? Where are you guys today?
Not a whole lot happened out of the very first one. It was the one after that really made a big difference, I think, especially from the financial perspective for us.
Yeah.
Wow.
And from coming out of the second event, we plugged into local war on debt classes, and then we got really serious about getting our debt paid off and And from there, it just snowballed. We sold our house and continued paying down our mortgage till we were out of debt in, what was it, 2016?
Yeah. It was a year and a half or something like that?
Yeah, like 15
Yes.
months.
Yeah.
15 months. And so you how much debt did you pay off in 15 months?
It was right around $247,000.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. And so what else has happened? Because you guys have been plugging in faithfully for the last 2.5 years. What are some other results that you've experienced in your life?
Well, the biggest thing for me has been I don't work 24/7 anymore. It's like I used to work constantly when I wasn't working. I was dreaming about work.
Yeah.
I now work 40 days a week, and there's peace and there's rest in our household. We go on date nights weekly. We have a lot of fun. And we have been just incredibly like blessed with the team. Like there's more trust built with our team that we work with. We get to travel with our family. We get to help the extreme poor. And it's just like our life is completely opposite of what it was, like complete day and night difference.
And I heard that you and your coworkers gathered together and worked hard to help the extreme poor have some homes. How many homes have you and your colleagues helped to build?
In 2017, we built 18 homes together. Yeah.
That's 18 families that no longer are living in cardboard or scrap metal or plastic with no running water and no electricity, that now have a brand new home they're living in because of what you and your coworkers came together to do. That is so miraculous to me, that you guys were just living the so-called facade of an American dream, which is go into debt, buy a big house so that you look successful, to now debt-free, paid off all of your mortgage, and helping other people have shelter. You guys truly are amazing people. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, First Steps to Success in Creating Dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in two completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know in my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college, and I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling in the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what, we need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So, I mean, doesn't that seem like a transformation, right? You know, going from working 24/7, like even in your sleep, you're thinking about your business, like your business owning you, the stress of it, the pressure of it, the relationships of it, to now only working 4 days a week and having peace in the home, the two of their relationship being so much better and more passionate and more focused even on each other. Emmylou and Richard, you guys really are an inspiration. Now, I know that you guys went to Hot Marriage Secrets last September, and you guys had a pretty good marriage prior to that. But again, it was pretty good. What impact did Hot Marriage Secrets have on you guys?
Good.
When we went to Hot Marriage Secrets, I realized that, oh my gosh, like I thought we had an okay marriage, but like it just like went to the next level. And I realized like you can't just be okay. And what really changed for us is I think just the communication, just being more real, open, honest, and being able to have conversations about things that, you know, we were never taught. Like we were never taught about sexual intimacy or what that looks like, or even, you know, that having kids and raising a family can be different than maybe what we saw in the culture around us, and that it's possible. So yeah, Hot Marriage Secrets is something that we definitely recommend for anybody. Like it's for everyone.
Yeah. Richard, what about you? What was from your perspective as a husband attending Hot Marriage Secrets, what impact has that had on your relationship with your wife?
There's been so much more freedom in our relationship to communicate openly about our struggles and things with sexuality. The thoughts that maybe I struggle with as a man, and talking with Emmylou about those things, and just the walls were just completely down after that, and we were able to have open conversations about everything.
Yeah.
And that was probably the biggest thing out of Hot Married Secrets for me.
And that's powerful. You know, so many people spend their lives in marriage building walls, and they don't even know that they're there. They don't even know that they built them. But just when you go through an experience like Hot Marriage Secrets, it, you know, it challenges you to actually look at them and go, hey, wait a second, this is not helpful. You know what I mean? Because in an okay marriage, like, whoever got married to have an okay marriage?
I know, right?
Right? And we don't even realize that that's what we're living. That we don't even realize it. Like, we completely gave up on the hot, passionate, harmonious, and peaceful marriage completely, and we just settle into being roommates who don't fight.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And it's like we created there's a safe place. Like, it's a safe place to be open, to be real, to be honest. And we have so much fun together. Like, we love hanging out together, and we're best friends as well. So. Man,
that's amazing. So what do you say to the person that's watching right now who is 24/7 thinking about or working? They've got $250,000 worth of debt, and they kind of think it's okay, and they got an okay marriage. What is your recommendation to that person?
Well, it's like, if you really, you have to think, are you really okay with where you're at? Like, you have to ask yourself that questions. And if you're not, what are you going to do to change it? If you keep doing what you're doing today, you'll get the same results. And who wants to just live a life that's okay, mediocre, that is just living life based on society? Like, I don't want that. You want to live a life by design, a life with purpose, a passion that's beyond things.
Yep, absolutely. So first steps to success, your next opportunity for your next first steps to success is coming up. And you need to get yourself registered right now. In fact, there's only 4 weeks left for the next event that is taking place February 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Dallas, Texas. February 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Dallas, Texas. Get yourself registered immediately. Don't be stupid. You can play to win in 2018. This is your time to shine. But you can't expect to keep plugging away, doing what you're doing, and for anything to change. This is your opportunity to make that change. Coming up next, we've got Shonda Wright from Canada, from British Columbia, actually. Amazing young woman who had a transformation in just a short period of time. She went from depressed, overweight, struggling under the pressure of $100,000 worth of debt as a single woman. Could you imagine being single and dealing with $100,000 worth of debt? That would certainly make you depressed. So I'm so excited to bring to you next Shonda Wright. Shonda, welcome to the show.
Hi.
I'm so glad that you took time to meet with us today. So, a single woman with $100,000 worth of debt. How in the world did you do that?
Well, when you make good money, they like loaning you money. And yeah, it was just one step at a time.
Okay.
It really was.
So you were $100,000 worth of debt. You were making good money. But were you confident? What were you dealing with all that debt?
It was truly suffocating. Like, the idea of, when I did the math after looking at War on Debt and, you know, really getting into it, like, my interest payments were $1,500 a month on that. And that's like a mortgage payment, you know, that wasn't even getting anywhere. And I realized that I was just taking from one pot and paying another and wasn't actually getting ahead. And that was really daunting and overwhelming, right? Like, I couldn't see an end, and it was scary.
Were you dealing with depression?
Yeah, at that point I was. And I wasn't feeling challenged. I wasn't growing. I was, you know, drowning under all of this debt. And then I just didn't know what to do. And we're so trained to expect to have debt in our lives. And I didn't have a plan, and I didn't know what to do about it. And so it was scary. And I was like, if this is what life's about, I don't want it, you know?
Yeah.
And it was really depressing.
And you had told me before that Melanie Grano, right there from the same city that you're in, she was the one who told you about first steps to success, because her and her husband, Greg, had also had a massive financial transformation and major business growth and healing in their marriage as a direct result of being a part of the events, both First Step Success and Creating a Dynasty. And she was the one that told you about the event. What caused you to go?
That was probably one of the funniest experiences of my life, because when I met Melanie, she gave me this vision for what a strong, wonderful, dynamic businesswoman could be, and also a loving wife and a, caring mother that didn't sacrifice in any area of her life. And I just didn't have anyone that I saw that way before. And since going through this process, I see, just how many women actually are like that in my life. But she really stood out to me. And she was just unapologetically her. And I really looked up to her. But yeah, she didn't give much explanation. I was just in a group and she said, yeah, so this is what we're doing in 10 days. And I was just excited at the opportunity to be a part of something that she was doing and a part of what the team was doing. And I didn't feel like I had, it was my second time ever meeting her. And it's like, okay, let's go. And I didn't even Google you. I had no idea who you were. I just was like, Melanie said so, I'll do it. And that was kind of my mantra for a long time. And it really, just following directions like that was the first step towards really, true transformation.
Yeah, what a trip. And how awesome. I love the testimony that you say about Melanie, because Melanie has been tapping into first steps to success and creating a dynasty for, I think 7 years or more. And prior to, she was not the wife who kept her priorities straight. She was a workaholic, and so was he. And they both actually lived in 2 different cities. So you want to talk about a mess. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I love to hear the testimony and the perception you have of her today, or a year and a half ago, because she cut back her hours. They grew their income. They got their priorities straight and healed their relationship. They really and paid off crazy amounts of debt. So anyway, so just by her recommendation and by her example, you took her word for it. You came down to the U.S. and went to your first steps. And what happened after that first event?
Well, it was interesting because on the first steps, I really realized that the prosper where you're planted concept. So I had always blamed, my external circumstances for how I was feeling. And I really had to decide that this was my job and this was for me. So what
do you mean by that? What do you mean that it was your job?
That no one else was in charge of my happiness.
Yeah.
That my excitement and my engagement in life was something that I got to choose, and that I had to, treat people with respect if I wanted to get respect. I had to, love people if I wanted love in return. Yeah. And I had to love myself as well. And so I started being more intentional with the seeds I was planting and the words that I was saying, and, edification on a daily basis, and just, really being diligent with what I was doing. And then it was actually creating a dynasty, which was the following month. So that
hold on right there, because I love this. So you took personal responsibility for the messy, depressive life you were living in. And you found what you were doing to cause that depression. So you stopped being a victim after your first steps to success.
Absolutely.
That had to be empowering.
Well, and it was interesting because you tell the story of being at a table around a bunch of successful people and, trying to pipe up. And
hold on 1 second. We got to cut over to the break. I can't wait to hear what you're going to say. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
You haven't even heard about the biggest change in Shonda's life yet. It's coming up next on The Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
So 4 years ago in July, we showed up to our first Dani Johnson event, our first Steps to Success. And we were completely desperate in every area of our life. At the time, I thought it was just because of our finances, but then I figured out pretty quickly that it was because of my lack of people skills that we were where we were. We sat in the front row. We got fast track, and we sat in the front row, right in the center, next to some amazing people, because we were so hungry, so desperate, so broken, and I pretty much cried through the entire event, honestly. And when she did the War on Debt, which she will show you, this afternoon, I went back immediately and got it. She had just started talking. I heard a couple stories, and I was like, if they can do it, I know we can do it. So we went back and got it and listened to it on the way home in the car, because we drove from Michigan all the way to Missouri. So we listened to it in the car, and when we got home, we immediately got our papers out. We wrote down our plan, and we started applying it. And within 14 months, we paid off over $62,000 worth of debt. We never in a million years thought that was possible. There's so much that has happened in the last 4 years, and I'm the person that wants the results immediately. I don't like the process of getting there. I want to just get there. But I've learned to appreciate the process over the last 4 years, and just seeing the transformation that has happened in us. Personally, we individually experienced different things, and we experienced a lot of things together. I was paying our bills. I was completely disrespectful to my husband and didn't really know how bad it actually was. And so that part of our life is still improving. I can say we're a work in progress. It takes time, and we have grown so much.
We showed up. My wife, I didn't know this at the time, but she was battling thoughts of suicide. I had no idea. I thought I was being a perfectly good husband. I did my best to serve her, be a great guy. But what she needed was somebody who would step up and be a leader in our marriage. That's not who I was. And I was totally emasculated, physically emasculated by, there's someone in our church, the pastor, and so we felt the brokenness of a church, having to leave and just hurt, and devastated. One of the biggest breakthroughs started in our marriage is when Lucy started being a wife to me. And I, as a leader, I should step up, right? Take action first, be the initiator. She did it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different person. And I can tell you, our marriage has just, it's amazing, the difference between her feeling suicidal, me stepping down as a leader, to me taking the initiative and just looking her in the eyes and saying, honey, thank you for allowing me to be your leader. And she just melts every time. This is awesome. So. So let me just tell you this, guys. If you're struggling, or you're broke, you're wondering what your next step is, hey, just take action. Follow those notes that you just took. Take action and do it, because your story is going to be here, and people are going to be inspired by your story. So are y'all ready to take notes? All right, let's do this. Help me welcome Miss Dani Johnson, America's favorite millionaire, to the stage.
The way you look at things is about to change. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
So just imagine, your life is a mess and everyone else to blame. That's exactly where Shonda Wright found herself from British Columbia. She came down to First Steps to Success, had a nice long look in the mirror, and she discovered that she was in control of her own feelings, her own emotions, and therefore she was empowered by literally the very first session at First Steps to Success, and that empowered her to begin to make great changes. Shonda, you were about to say that at Creating a Dynasty, which is our second seminar, it's our advanced training seminar, that's where something else really began to click for you. What happened next?
Well, that's where I would say my war on debt really started, but also that concept of what you're programmed to believe, and really taking not just ownership of my actions, but my belief systems, and choosing to believe different things about what the world had for me. And so that's when I really started being diligent. I stopped, adhering to media, and I started pressing play on the DJU every day. And I was really diligent about what I put into my mind. And that was truly transformative, because who I surrounded myself with and what I was letting in was also a big influence. And then, seeing that progress towards my debt, that was, a crazy turning point as well.
So you said something about the DJU. Can you explain from your perspective what the DJU is?
Ooh, I would say it's, the definition of insanity is doing what you've always done and expecting something different, right? Or it's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something different. So if you don't change your daily habits, then you're not going to see a different result. And for me, I didn't know how to think a different way. I didn't know what to do to be different or to expect more of myself. But by pressing play every day, I had that constant reminder. And someone said something about scripts once, about how, it doesn't sound like me. I'm like, well, I want to sound like Dani Johnson's paycheck, so I'm going to use those scripts. And just, learning a new inner talk and a new inner mindset was really powerful. And some of the tools I implemented right away, and some of them were more mindset driven. But there's not a piece of that I don't recommend, even if you are going to every event. And even if you have heard it before, you'll hear it with different ears on a different day. Yeah.
So what is the DJU?
That's the university of all of Dani Johnson content.
It's everything. It's everything. It's everything from dealing with your family, your finances, to creating wealth, growing a business, growing in your career, sales, marketing, communication skills. Oh my gosh, learning how to motivate other people. Yeah, how to do presentations that are successful, how to really build and cultivate and even navigate the marketplace, cultivating great relationships, learning how to create a positive experience for a client that causes referrals to happen organically, to where you're not going, can I have a referral from you? No, that you actually cause in the other person to want to not give you one referral, but hundreds, if not thousands of referrals. So you tapping into all of that training material has changed the way you approached your career. Has it changed your finances?
Yes, and that was the scariest thing, is I was paying off debt, but then all of the debt that I was paying off, I actually reinvested into the DJU and into going to all of these events. So, when you're being super diligent and you're living on less, and yet you're not seeing the debt go down as fast as you want, I think, just really having faith that this was the right step. And I never let myself walk away from an event without booking the next ticket, because I knew that life would get in the way. And so it was hard, because when you see that $1,000 going out or that $500 going out, you want to put it against your debt. But I trusted the process and had crazy financial windfalls. And it's the same thing with tithing before, while you're paying off debt. It took a lot of faith and a lot of, action. But,
so a year and a half, you've paid off how much debt?
$100,000.
And you are completely debt free?
Yes.
So I love what you were just saying, that you attended every single event that was available. Every single one of them. And you were just saying, man, it was kind of scary because I really wanted to pay off my debt, but you were trusting the process. And so you allowed yourself for a year and a half to be reprogrammed for success, for creating wealth, for being debt-free, right? For growing that career under your terms versus the terms of what society tells you, which is be owned by that business. And so you've paid off. So give me the summary. You've paid off $100,000 worth of debt. Just give me the summary of what has happened in your life since you've been plugging in faithfully and daily pressing play, daily listening and training yourself with the Dani Johnson University and hitting every single event. What's the results?
I have paid off $100,000 in debt. I was at war with everyone in my life, and now I'm contributing to my community. My boss just wrote me a testimonial to support me for the Top 20 Under 40 award in my area.
Oh my gosh.
I am, on multiple committees and just truly being sought out as a speaker and as a, community member and talk about a difference. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I have been able to travel 15 times in 18 months, including missions trip in Nicaragua and Thailand for a conference, and obviously a ton of first steps in creating a dynasties. I'm going to Israel in March. Wow. I've been able to raise over $20,000, personally donate over $20,000 to feeding the extreme poor. I'm down a waist size. I'm strong and just happy and confident that, and I'm really proud that my bank account weighs more than my ego, which has been a big shift in my life. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So girl, I want you to kind of go back a year and a half. Just a year and a half ago, someone told you about First Steps. Just a year and a half ago. And your life went from a depressed woman who needed to lose weight, who hated her life and at war with everybody, and $100,000 in personal debt yourself, to where you're at today. What do you say to that person right now who's watching you on this television program and or listening to you on the radio?
Well, there's this analogy or story of, you know, the guy that's drowning in the water and he's praying for God to send him a boat. And then there's this, you know, praying for God to save him. And this boater comes by and asks him, you know, hey, do you want to ride? No, God's going to save me. And then, you know, so he goes past and then there's another boat and the same thing happens again and again. And then he gets to heaven and says, God, like, you know, I trusted you. I thought you were going to save me. He's like, I sent 3 boats. What do you mean? So, you know, when you pray for an answer and then you have to have faith. There's action in faith. And the opposite of faith is certainty, and you have to act. And so if you've been praying for more, asking for more, wanting more for your life, want to be different or have more inside of you, a spirit or a fire inside of you that's not allowed, that you haven't let out, or that you know there's more to be, then this is the answer and you have to take the next step. So,
Ball's in your court. Ball is in your court. That's absolutely right. And if you want the results that Shonda Wright, come on, you want those kind of results? You want to pay off $100,000 worth of debt in a year and a half? You heard her. She's been to 11 events in a year and a half, fully committed. She's out there also taking care of the poor. This girl isn't just, you know, filling up her closet with more junk, but she's increased her income. She's getting awards. She's being sought after by people in her city. She is no longer the depressed woman who's at war with everybody, single and hating life. This is a woman who has taken personal responsibility and has made a huge change. So do this right now. February 23rd, 24th, and 25th, Dallas, Texas. That's your next step. Have that certainty that you're going to create a story just like Shonda Wright has. February 23rd, 24th, and 25th. This is your next shot. Don't miss it. Do not be like one of those people that goes, you know, I'll wait till it's convenient for me. No, failure is not convenient. Neither is success. So you might as well make one worth it. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what poverty-stricken families are dealing with in Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic needs of food, clean water, and safe housing. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming Nicaragua. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Nicaragua. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Helping you become all you were meant to be. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
You don't have to settle for less. You don't. You don't have to settle for okay either. You don't have to settle for mediocrity. But if you do, know this. It isn't because the circumstances in your life or the cards that were dealt to you made it that way. It's because of your choices. You can choose to step up today. You can choose a different reality now. You can choose what Richard and Emmylou did. You can also choose to do what Shonda Wright did. These three individuals poured their hearts out. They exposed some of their failures from their past. They also told you the successes they had, and they all three had something in common. They took action on an invitation to go to a 3-day training seminar where everything could change for them. You heard a complete transformation. Are you sick and tired of watching this show and hearing about these kinds of testimonies from everyday average people from around the world getting crazy results? Are you tired of sitting and watching? Do you want to be the next one that we have on this show as you're sharing your results? Do you want to be that next person, kind of like who Shonda was talking about, the woman who introduced her to First Steps, or like Emmylou, her brother that introduced her to First Steps to Success? That you're looking at somebody in your life and you're saying, wow, I want to be like them. I want that kind of a life. Do you want to be the one that people are pointing to saying that? Then you got to get there. February 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Dallas, Texas. You need to get there now. Don't mess around. You have what? 22 days. You have 22 days. I don't care if you drive, fly, take a train, hitchhike. I don't care how you get there. I don't care what you have to sell to get there. It's going to be worth it. You want to win in 2018. There's no doubt that there's a surefire plan waiting for you in Dallas, Texas on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. This is your shot. Quit ignoring the invitation, because if you continue to ignore it, you're going to say hello to bigger disasters and handling those disasters the same exact way you always have. Don't continue to do the same exact thing and expect a different result. They lock people up in white jackets, putting them in a padded cell for that. That's not your lot in life. At the very least, get over to DaniJohnson.com. Again, that's DaniJohnson.com, one N and an I, DaniJohnson.com. That website has a tremendous amount of tools to help you, not to mention this show. Freely you've received today's program. Freely give it. Pass it on to somebody else. Someone needs to be inspired. There's someone that is hopeless out there. We know this. There's people that are hopeless, and they need that extra shot in the arm to help them take that next step in their life, in their marriage, in their business, their career, even their church or their charity work. You can change a life. Let's join forces. Share today's show. Somebody's life depends on it. Share it in social media and come on over and say hello on Facebook, Live, Instagram, and Twitter. That's where we're at. And subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get notifications when there's important programming to help you succeed in your everyday life. You want to be challenged? You want to come out of mediocrity? Let's see each other every single day. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been The Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.